My name is Dele Adeyi, and this is my wife,
Bisi Adeyi.
Well, our names are Carl and Sarah Pashy.
So my name is Zoahar, and I live in St. Paul, Minnesota.
We started coming to Sojourn about 2 years ago.
About 2 years now, yeah.
I started attending Sojourn. It was probably after our second date, and Carl was like, "You should come to church with me." And I was like, "Is that weird?"
I woke up one day in bed, I rolled over onto Facebook, and I saw Dr. Amy posting her status saying that she was leading a contextual Bible criticism class down in the basement of this place called Sojourn, and I didn't know it was a church. Even when I was in the building, I didn't know where I was.
Dear members, alumni, and friends of Sojourn Campus Church and Christians in Action, a building needs help. It's invisible. It's 60 years old, and it's painfully showing its age.
So, in the Bible, we learn that we're created in God's image and that God looks at his whole creation and says, it is very good. So we're commissioned as co-creators and stewards of God's good creation. Then we look in Ecclesiastes 3:11 and we find out that God's given us beauty and a sense of transcendence to call us to his goodness. It sounds great, right? God uses beauty to point us to his majesty and transcendence and mystery. We think of mountains and rivers and beautiful cathedrals. And then we think of Sojourn Campus Church.
And anything that you do not maintain is going to break down. So we're going to have to leave the church in a place where those coming behind us will have a place to worship. We can't just keep looking at the church falling apart until it's too late.
Our Blueprint for Welcome campaign will refresh our space with new, inviting, and fresh spaces. Here are some of the highlights. We're going to have a revised front entrance with a metal canopy, a cross rising above the roof, a large illuminated sign. We're going to have a new front lobby, completely remodeled, warm and welcome. We're going to have new carpeting throughout the church. We're going to insulate the lower level hallways and install new windows, so finally those hallways will be warm. The men's and women's bathrooms are going to be completely remodeled. And we're also going to install a new family bathroom in the same area, and so much more. Additionally, this campaign will provide seed funds for campus ministry staff, increasing our impact greatly with students. Our plan for funding this is to raise 100% of these funds through donations from people like you who know us and desire our church to move powerfully.
We're inviting you to help us to bring some beauty and some attractiveness and also some simple visibility on the campus.
We also invite you to pray and ask God how much you might be willing to give and commit to for this project, as you are able and as God leads, that he might be glorified.
You know, I sometimes visit other churches too, and I think that as a new person, walking into a space, a facility, or just your environment and noticing that it's inviting or it's pretty or has a little bit more of a modern look to it, or just that it's not broken. I think it's really important for first timers, you know, some of our early new visitors, because I notice those things when I go to a new church.
I think when I first came to Sojourn, I recognized the genuineness of people's faith, and I recognize the genuineness of people's experience with God. And I think one of the most unique things about Sojourn is that even in just a Sunday morning service, which is something that is structured, you can tell that people are experiencing God in the service.
It's meeting with God inside of a community that challenges your intellect, that calls you to emotional and relational wholeness, that is spiritually deep and authentic. And so for me, that's the biggest thing that that I've grown in my time in Sojourn. And so to say, wow, we have such a blessing and an abundance of goodness in this place, and to say, wow, can we bring that to somewhere else and hopefully outpour out of that abundance in another place.
Every single time I think about the blueprint, the welcome, what always comes to my mind is welcoming hearts. You know, it's a good thing to have the building, and I am 100% on board about that. You know, it needs to be, I love nice places. And but I think it calls attention to our hearts as well, to when people come in and see the beautiful building that it's going to be, you know, that for us as individuals to be welcoming as well, you know. So that is my prayer, my hope, my vision, my dream for Sojourn, that we'll have welcoming building and welcoming hearts, you know, for every single person that comes in.